Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I have two articles here. This is more current. Okay, as you have what's going on over there, which it's even live right now. But you have here in Chicago the protesters. All right, as you can see, this is from APnews.com. Protesters break through security fence near site of Democratic National Convention. And at this point, you can see people are pretty fed up with what's going on now. As always, right? There's a very high chance that it could be orchestrated, it could be organic, but all in all, you can see the energy that's up in the air right now. A lot of people are, especially getting closer and closer to November, a lot of tensions are spiraling, okay, to a breaking point. Now, before I actually go into this, the first article I have here that I also wanted to make mention of is something that happened over the weekend. You basically had some people open fire at a military base, okay, and they're saying these people weren't part of the military, right? But that's a bit unusual, right? That you just have some random people just drive by a U.S. military base and just start opening fire, and then they came back 2 hours later and then continued to open fire, right? So it says here, and interestingly enough, right, this isn't something that you're seeing put out there in the mainstream media, and usually that's what they do. The things that are actually important or serious, they suppress for a while before they actually bring it out once they have a good story to tell the people. Anyway, let's start with this one, right? U.S. Air Force security guards exchange gunfire with quote passing suspect at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland. Now it's funny how they word that, right? They exchange gunfire with passing suspect. Well, let's see what the passing suspect had in mind. It says U.S. Air Force security guards returned fire at a drive-by shooter who attacked the entrance of Joint Base San Antonio Lackland twice in as many hours early Saturday, officials said. The mystery attacker fired several rounds at around 2:15 a.m., then returned 2 hours later, racing away after a short gunfight, police said. It was an off-base shooting from a passing vehicle that fired shots towards the gate, prompting our security forces to respond. Base spokesperson Stephanie Antosh said in a statement. This sounds like some GTA joint, right? It's very interesting, who does that unless it's planned, right? Nobody just gets up and says, I'm gonna go to a military base, drive by at 2:15 a.m. in the morning and open fire. And then come back again 2 hours later and open some more fire. Like, what? What's that about? It says there were no injuries and there is no further threat to the base, she said. But how do you know that? How do you know they're not going to return again? Maybe she was referring in the context of her at that very moment, but hey. So it sounded like they were trying to downplay this a bit, but San Antonio Police Department is still investigating a motive, but the suspects are not believed to be affiliated with the military. Now, one thing about the military, Navy, Air Force, there are a lot of things they keep under wraps, right? If you're in there and they tell you, you see something, then you're of the mindset of, whoa, this is crazy. What are we gonna do? They scare you real quick to make sure that you keep your mouth shut. All right. So in cases like this, you don't expect them to actually, behind the scenes, they may be sweating, but when they come out in press conferences or to give statements, they always try to keep it calm. It's just called damage control. Keep the people from panicking. Okay. Especially now that people are not falling for, these things, these narratives, so easily anymore. Let's see what else is here. Right, so it says here, gunfire broke out around 2:15 a.m. when security personnel stated they heard several shots fired as well as the fired rounds go past them. After this incident, the security personnel added more armed guards as a precaution. 2 hours later, a sedan stopped near the same entrance and opened fire again. However, with the additional security personnel, multiple Air Force personnel returned fire toward the suspect vehicle, Moscoso said. The vehicle then fled the scene. It was not immediately clear how many shots were fired in the two gunfights. The shooting forced the entrance to close for several hours before reopening around 9:30 a.m. However, the base was never placed on lockdown. And the reason, or something that makes this even more interesting, is the fact that at this very moment, you have what they call nationals of a plethora of different countries that are in here. With what intentions, who knows? Where they're from, who knows? Are they plainclothes agents of a foreign nation? Who knows? But they're here, okay? And they're actually on now. Can they have communications with wherever, whatever country they may have come from? Who knows, right? But they're here. They can hands-on, they can pose as regular people. They can get jobs. They can try to finagle their way into certain infrastructural databases and just to assess what's really going on. Okay, because what they say, an attack from within, that's more dangerous, right? It's like what the Greeks did, during that war with the Trojan horse, right? They knew that in order to get in, or in order to do damage, they had to do it from within. So they came with that Trojan horse. And once they were in, they did what they did. Anyway, so back to this situation here in Chicago. It says here, protesters broke through a fence set up by police near the site of the Democratic National Convention. Now, what's interesting is, let me see if I can pull it up. It says authorities are preparing for biochemical attack. Let's see. At the Democratic Convention, if I have that right. Yep. Saw something on this. Yeah, let's see if it was from here. There you go. This is the post that I saw earlier, which is very interesting actually, right? Because it said here, and we'll go back to what we were looking at before, but it says here, the Department of Defense, right, the DoD, are preparing for possible biochemical attacks at upcoming Democratic National Convention. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, of all things, random, with possible biochemical attacks. Why? And attacks plural, and they always just so happen to know. It's very interesting that they just so happen to have these suspicions, right? And preparations, right, for these things. So their instincts work when it comes to these very random cases, as it would seem. But when it comes to more so-called obvious cases, apparently they can't do anything about that. They didn't see that coming. It says, as the Democratic National Convention is underway, local and federal officials are on high alert for a possible biochemical attack. CBS reported a high alert. So is there something that they know that we don't know, like right? CBS reported that the Department of Defense funded decontamination rooms to be set up at Rush University Hospital in preparation for such an event. Rush University is located in Chicago, Illinois, just minutes from the venue where the DNC will be hosted. So keep your eyes out. Numerous store locations have boarded up their windows in anticipation of possible violence as thousands of protesters gather outside. Well, that's what we're reading here. It looks like they anticipated right. Right. So it says that the protesters broke through, right, on its opening day Monday as thousands took to the streets to voice their opposition to the war in Gaza. As the larger group marched, a few dozen who broke away tore pieces of the security fence. Some protesters dressed in black with their faces covered, and you notice that's like that's like the look, right? Um, Even in the UK, right, with the migrant situation going on over there, that's that same look. Majority of them, you'll have that ski mask, that face covering, and it's all black. Anyway, dragged pieces of the fence back to a park near the United Central, where the convention is being held. Several protesters who had managed to get through the fence were detained and handcuffed by police. But eventually, you'll realize the police ain't gonna be able to, you know, to do enough. Okay. Anyway, it says here, members of the crowd chanted, "End the occupation now." And then, "The whole world is watching," just as anti-Vietnam War protesters did during the infamous 1968 convention in Chicago when police clashed with protesters on live television. Officers put on gas masks as some protesters tried to bring down a second fence set up in front of police. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but just interesting to see the things that are going on, right? If you look at it on a surface level, you can see that the people are really getting roused up, not just and for many reasons, but not just in the U.S., right? Now I'm going to bring this out real quick, just straight to the point. What I wanted to get is 2 Esdras 15, but maybe I'll read a few verses above. The point is in verse 16. "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." And you can see that, right? This world has nothing left for it but destruction. There is no way. There's no other direction or other way to cleanse this world than by that woe, because it's just going to get worse. "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not," this the part, right? "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." And as we've gone into time and time again, a king is likened onto a ruler, right? Like you would think of a monarch, you would think of today you have presidents and prime ministers and so on. Some places you have quote unquote kings, right? But they would be likened onto the kings, even though we know that they're really just pseudo kings, right? They're really just a face. Anyway, nor princes, which are lower level, right? The princes would be lower level than the king. So those that would be under, but still in a position of authority. "And the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So the people are not going to be regarding what the leaders, right, have to say. They're not going to care. In fact, they're coming directly against them, right? Challenging them. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, in fact, eventually at some point it's going to get violent past just handcuffs and tear gas and rubber bullets and police and riot gear. No. Eventually that's not going to cut it. Okay. But you'll see, it just takes that one powder keg to go off, if that's even the right analogy. And you'll see just how ready these people were to go all full on purge mode. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that out. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. As you can see, there's a lot going on. Okay. And on top of that, you also have a lot of different pathogens that are surfacing. Okay. It's not just the ones that are in the mainstream, like the MP, right? And the bird flu and the angry bird and all that. There's still other things that are also surfacing, that the alarms aren't being rang that loud about those. But as the Lord mentioned, there would be pestilences. Okay. So things are definitely happening. We're definitely in a time of prophecy. And so, that's why the message is to repent and seek the Lord, because as these things get worse, if you wait to the very end, the Lord says, then people are going to seek him, but they're not going to find him. And at the time when people realize that the only way out is through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, they're not going to be able to get access to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Anyway, with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash, and until next time, Shalom.